What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tate Dezay, host of Mr. Big Head Reads, the podcast where Black books meet bold conversations. This May, we're taking a deep breath together for Mental Health Awareness Month with our special series, Brother Breathe. We're talking about healing, joy, and the real stories behind Black men and mental wellness. So please subscribe, like, and share these upcoming videos with a brother or a sister who needs a reminder every now and again to just breathe. So let's open our minds and our spirit to receive. And don't forget, Black literacy is Black liberation. All right, welcome back to Mr. Big Head Reads, and I am super excited about this episode because I am joined by someone who is very special, who is super energized, and you will understand why very soon. He lives up to his name, the Energized Educator, the one and only Baltimore's finest, Roderick Johnson. How are you today, my brother?
I am wonderful. I'm sensational. I am all things good. How are you?
I am good. I am elated to have this conversation with you because many people might know you who are local to Baltimore, and you are famous on the billboards. Folks might see you driving down the street and see your big
Right.
smiling face on the billboard. How does it feel to have a billboard with your face on there?
It's so weird because I never thought I would be on a billboard. Like, you know how you see those commercials, they're like, my name in lights. I'm this person. And I discovered it in a parking lot when I was eating, like it was my cheat day. And then I was cheating in a car, and then I look, I'm like, oh my God, that's my face. And so it was amazing. They didn't even tell me they put it up there. They let me discover it on my own. And then I look, I'm on bus stops, and it is absolutely sensational to have a billboard in my city, the city that I love the most. So it's wonderful. Baltimore, home of the chicken box and crabs and Obey seasoning. Yes.
Now tell the people why you were on a billboard to begin with.
So I bought a house in 2023. And so I got a lot of credits from being a teacher and doing things in the community. So, I partnered with the same organization because I'm like, if I can do it, me with my story, somebody else can do it, but I want to serve as the pipeline and the support with that. So they asked me to be on the campaign team, and I was on the campaign team, and thus I got a billboard, and I'm excited about it. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
When you posted that on Instagram, I was just like beaming with glee. I was like, look at Roderick over here changing lives in the city of Baltimore. And so I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. For those who may not know you, you are a CEO of your own literacy company. You have about 10 years, upwards of 10 years of experience in education and particularly working with Black boys and increasing literacy skills within that particular group. But you are a coach, you are a motivator, you are someone who is really passionate about education in general, whether it's the classroom, whether it's in, the streets, whether it whatever.
Come on now. That's important.
Listen, and you are passionate about educating the kids, but also educating not only just children, but educating educators, right? And motivating them and keeping them empowered. So tell us a little bit about how did you come to the field of education?
So it was really surreal. I was in school. I always wanted to be a teacher. I played school. Like, everybody played hopscotch and basketball. I was not with none of that. I played school. I taught my little sister things that I felt like a teacher should have told her, because when I was in school, I had a lot of traumatizing experiences. So I was one of them badass kids, right? That nobody wanted to deal with. And so in school, I didn't spend a lot of time learning. I got a lot of time being rejected. And so one thing I had to carry around was my little behavior notebook, and I never got anything over a fair. And so I realized then, like, if I'm not getting what I need from this place, I got to be the change I want to see. So literally from that young age, I decided, oh yeah, I'm going to be a teacher. And so I tried to run away from it, tried to run away from it. But you know, when God gives you something, you got to go for it. And so I kept hearing this quote: when you get, give; when you learn, teach; when you get, give; when you learn, teach; when you get, give; when you learn, teach, by Maya Angelou. And that stuck with me. So in college, again, I went to school for teaching. Then I was like, I'm going to drop out the program. And I dropped out and I did education and nonprofit management. And guess what? When I graduated, I became a teacher, and it was in the most random way, but I'm here.
Wow. And on top of that, you are a author, you are
Yes.
a doctoral student, and I
Yes.
just think that that is wild. So for those who don't know, Roderick and I we attend Morgan State University. We're both getting or pursuing our PhD in education, and he has an emphasis in urban ed, and I have an emphasis in higher education policy. And I can't even write long text messages, let alone try to write a book while in a doctoral program. Please tell us what convinced you, motivated you, or tricked you into wanting to write a book, and a children's book at that.
Yeah. So, you know, once I graduated from college, I realized like the people I wanted to be had doctor in front of their name. And not that
Mhm.
I was, you know, emulating their life, but I realized like in order to for me to achieve the highest level and then kind of slap those in the face that gave me that fare, right? I had to
Mhm.
get this degree. And so I also realized that I am a writer. That's what I do. I like to put sentences together and make meaning of complex text. That's what I like to do. So I decided, yes, I needed to get a doctorate from the National Treasure. And I tried a school that didn't meet my demographic. And I think I was too much of myself to attend there. I won't say those schools. And I tried another school. And again, I think I was too much of myself to be there. And then I applied to Morgan and I felt like it was home. And as
Mm.
soon as I was in the interview, I knew it was in. So
Wow.
I'm very happy with my program. I'm very happy when I'm going. I'm very happy with my topic, which I won't reveal on your show because I know it's going to come and get me. But in terms of authoring, I really just wrote a story about my younger self. And through therapy, I found his voice. So
Mm.
it's called Joey's Story, A Long Way from Home. And somebody's probably like, Joey, Roderick, Joey, Roderick. Well, Joey was my name for a little while because I didn't know who Roderick was. So when I was little, everybody in the neighborhood called me Joey. No one called me Roderick. So just imagine you going to school and somebody's calling you Roderick and you're trying to figure out who this person is and who this persona is, which is why I acted the way I did, which is why I'm now so passionate about supporting teachers to and through learning, building capacity so that we can improve the behaviors in the classroom, because most of the behaviors come from students not being invested in and being pushed aside and rejected.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And also it's just really motivating to know that you have this whole other story, like you have lived a whole nother life basically,
Yeah.
because even as someone who, knows you through, Morgan and our doctoral program, like I never knew that you had a whole nother life. And so it's motivating to hear you be empowered and encouraged really to write this story, especially through the lens of your younger self. And so
Mhm.
but before we get deep into the book, and I want to kind of dive a little bit into kind of a fun little icebreaker.
Come on,
And
icebreaker.
right, because us as educators, we love to break the ice
We
with
love
some.
it to introduce yourself to three people.
Come on, we got to do it. So I would like to introduce this game called Finish That Sentence. All
Ooh.
right. Finish that sentence. And so I am going to give you the start of the sentence, and then you can finish it however you like, whether it's funny, whether it's vulnerable, or in a poetic way. You have the green light to do whatever you like to do. All right. So
I
we'll do
love
a test run.
autonomy. I just want you to know that I love autonomy, and you'll really make me feel welcome on the show. So thank you.
Well, look, so we're gonna do a test run real quick. So
Okay.
um my favorite day of the week is
Oh, okay. My favorite day of the week is Wednesday
Wednesday, and why?
because on Wednesdays we wear pink. Yeah, you didn't know.
Okay.
You know, purposeful intentions, you know, and knowledge, right? Pink.
All right, so let's do another test run. When I think of Tate, I think about.
When I think about fashion. It's giving fashion. I'm gonna
Come
give you
on.
I'm gonna give you a fashion. You know, it gives a little 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, also in the church. Now, listen, okay, because you was up the
1, 2
of the club.
Okay, I'll accept that. All right, so let's dive into it. So when I was 13, I wish someone told me.
When I was 13, I wish someone told me that I was who I needed to be. And I knew what I needed to know. Yeah, very much hidden. Not closet, like, you know, closet. I'm saying like closet in terms of personality. And so if somebody would have told me that I am already the person I need to be, I probably would have continued to be an actor, which I dabbled in a little bit at that time.
I can see that. Yeah, because you're very animated.
Yeah, it could have gave Denzel a little bit. I could have did the glory thing, but they didn't know I was, you know, an actor at that time. Nick Cannon would be nothing. I'm joking, Nick. Sorry.
So a book that changed me was.
Can I say 2?
Sure.
Okay, so the first book I ever read was Kindred. Not too much Tate, not too much. But the second book that really changed me was The Thinking Life, and it really helped me understand that I'm more than my circumstance, and I really needed to look at things different to understand where I was going. And that book really helped me dream big, and I'm living those dreams that I thought about almost 20 years ago.
Wow. So how about this one? When I'm feeling overwhelmed, I remind myself that.
I can't curse on this show, but if anybody goes to the Beyonce Renaissance album and turn on number 1, that's the song. These blanks ain't stopping me. That's the one.
Renaissance. Okay. Okay. You remind yourself that you are that.
These lovers ain't stopping me. I'm trying to tell you that right there. If she'll never write another song, that's it right there. Well, she ain't right. Okay, let me just be quiet. Go
on. Black men deserve.
Black men deserve patience. And I'm gonna leave that there because then I can go on a whole rant on that.
Okay. And I am grateful for.
I'm grateful for those few people that are in my community.
That's good.
I'm like the Benz. I don't need commercials. I don't need taglines. I don't need slogans. I just do what I do because I attract energy. I'm the energized educator. That's what I do. So you will seldom see me with a bunch of people, but you need to know that I do have a community. And if you want to be a part of the community, come on in the room.
Right. And I will say I'm grateful to know you and to really like be in community with you, because you do live up to your name in terms of the energized educator. Even sometimes, like, I am an introvert and sometimes I don't want to be bothered. And sometimes people who have like super high energy or extroverted spirits kind of sometimes bother me. But you have an energizing spirit where it energizes me. And so it's like, it's so wonderful to be in the same space with you, in the same community with you. And I'm grateful that you are just authentic and you are who you are. And I'm sure that it took a while for you to get to where you are today.
And therapy.
Right?
Go to therapy.
That part. And so, and thinking about little Joey's story, right? So think about more about, you know, what it took for you to write this, what it took for you to share this book in such a sentimental way. Could you share a little bit about the process of writing this book?
Yeah, I was. It was one day I was feeling down. I was feeling mighty low. No, I'm just joking. It was a day when I just really felt like I needed to really tell the story, because there are a lot of students that I observe that go through a lot of things, and I teach them to persevere. But like, who taught me? Right? Who taught me to persevere? And I can't remember who did it. Somebody did it, obviously, because I'm persevering, and it could be myself. But what about those students that just need to read something that connects with them? And so I was talking to a student, and one day, and he was like, "Why don't you just write a book?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then I realized, like not in kindergarten, I would say my first year of school, there was a lot that happened. And so even my first year of college, we wrote children's books. Like that's what we do. As a teacher, you write books to match your children. And so one day I just wrote it. It was pandemic time. I wrote it. I shared it with the teacher and she just started crying. I was like, what is going on? Like, it's not that deep. And so iteration after iteration that happened. And so now I got to a finished product and I'm like, well, how am I going to get this out? What am I going to do? And so I found a something when God come and get you. I found something called Blessing Publications, and I asked around, and then I went in and I realized that I taught with her. Watch this. I taught with her in the school that I started in when I got out of foster care. So like it's just amazing how that all came about. And so I got with her. She found me my illustrator, and like we just got it done. And so the blessing it is that she took her time with me because I'm very meticulous in what I do. And I kept pushing the timeline back, pushing the timeline back until I said it was ready to go. And that's when the breakthrough really happened.
And the illustration of it all, like, can you talk a little bit about how, you know, the pictures, how lively and animated and realistic it really looks? Like, what was that process like?
So I met my illustrator and I was very detailed with what I wanted. I wanted colors, I wanted energy, but I also wanted the pictures to look like the people. So I provided pictures that look like the people, and that's what he produced. Now, my mother says Joey's a little dark skinned. I might have just been embellishing about that, but it's okay. Other than that, all of the pictures look like me and the people that are involved in the story. And all of them have approved their pictures, which is even more amazing.
Right. What do you hope that kids, well, starting with the age group, what age group is this book specifically for?
So I want it to be read 2, 3 to 5, and then from 6 to on. Even adults, to be honest, like adults cry over the story more than children. It's so strange. But like so many people call me like, what did I just read? Like, oh my God, the way that you wrote it. And it's such a topic that you don't want to talk about, but it's so much optimism baked in it that you feel like you can go and save the world after the book.
Wow.
And so if you don't believe me, check my Amazon reviews. But what you also got to think about is where you situate yourself in the timeline, because we have adults that are still in the 3rd grade.
That part.
Yeah. We have adults that are trying to figure out their situation, and they just need something to make them go, and something that looks like them. So I expect people to get energy just from the pages of that book, and then come find me so I can submit that energy.
That part. And what are you hoping, outside of energy, but what are you hoping children, specifically youth, what do you hope that they take away from reading this book?
Yeah, inspiration, finding their voice, and realizing that they matter. They make up space, because what we don't do is we don't teach our children the themes and the virtues of life. We just throw education at them and say that's going to solve their problems. Education is one piece, but really understanding how to have self-control, because that's not depicted on social media, this whole crash out thing, right? But teaching them how to be optimistic about their opportunities and go through something dark but still come out on top. And then I want 1 million children that read this book to rise up and do something amazing because of it.
Wow. You better claim it. Speak it into
We're already at 300.
Million.
We're already at 300.
Wow. 300.
And I just translated it to Spanish.
Wow. That's good. That's
Happy
really good.
Cinco de Mayo.
That's really good, though. Like, really promoting youth to read, right? Because we understand that currently in this society, in the culture of America, and I read the statistic from, I was reading The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. And he says that, right, he says that 48% of adolescents are constantly online. And when they're away from their phones, they're thinking about their phones. And so when you have such a large number, that's almost half of our youth and children in the country, right? Like 48% are addicted to their phones.
Yeah.
40% of 2-year-olds have their own iPad. 40%. So thinking about our generations that are coming up, and they don't know what outside looked like, right? They don't hang out with friends in the ways that we did growing up. So like reading takes them to a different world, right? It allows them to kind of like transport and really use their imagination in ways that they would not be able to do if they're just always on their phone.
Yeah,
And so as an educator, I'm curious to know, in what ways have you seen um, the lack of like reading a book has impacted their literacy skills?
Yeah, I think we don't give kids books. We phonics them to death. I say it all the time. We give them vowel sounds and patterns and nonsense words, and I think that's okay. And there's a space for it. And then this whole continuum of science and reading that is absolutely divine, but it doesn't mean anything if they're not reading text. And
Mm,
so, not only did I write a book that'll be able to talk to the students in a language that they understand, but I wrote a curriculum to match it. So that not only are you reading a book, but you're also accessing a curriculum that talks about the things that are in the book, and it talks about what it looks like to do those things in your life, which makes the reading cemented in the work that you do every day. And that's what our kids
wow.
don't have.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. So the curriculum will be it could be for instructors and parents?
It could be instructors, parents, homeschool, all of those things. It comes with a certain number of books that you purchase, or unless you want to buy it straight out. But again, I wrote it to match the book. So the most important thing that you have to have is a general understanding of how to read, and you can access the curriculum. Kids can teach the curriculum to each other. It's written so that somebody that does not even have an education can be able to access this, because that's the problem. We use too much jargon when we talk to children as opposed to giving them access, which is why things like this are important. And we've been doing this forever, right? We can even talk about Harlem Renaissance and Langston Hughes and Maya, all of those. They didn't start using big words till they got up there, right? We started with very basic vocabulary to draw you in. And then once we teach you and reach you, we build your language and your decorum a bit for you to be able to handle some of that complex text that you'll see later on in life.
That is amazing. I love a curriculum. So having that attached to the book is
Yeah.
amazing. And like, where does this inspiration? So just even listening to you, knowing about the book and the story, where does this inspiration come from? Like, what keeps you going?
God is the joy and the strength of my life. I mean,
Mhm.
and I hate to sound so churchy, but it really is, because like I'm here for a purpose and I listen to him. He tells me these things. I don't do all of these things by chance. I do run a business, but my business is not about trying to make a coin, because God has provided everything I needed. What it's talking about is making an impact. We don't have a lot of impact driven entrepreneurs. We have a lot of cash grabbers in a sense. But what happens when you make an impact is you double and triple what you already want. I mean, we saw an example of King Solomon who asked for wisdom,
Mm,
right? And so I say all of these things because I'm driven by what I'm driven by, but that don't mean you have to be driven by what I'm driven by.
right.
And so the differentiation in the way that we show up for the work is important. So yes, I'm driven by that. But then when I see you driven by what you want to be driven by, I'm also inspired by that piece. And
Mm,
kids are just amazing. I'm sorry, children are just amazing.
mhm.
They're just amazing. If we allow them to show how amazing they can really shake the nation, especially this
Absolutely.
generation.
Absolutely. So I want to rattle the table a bit by mentioning I just read or heard, I think, during the White House press briefing
Oh
that
God.
the First Lady of the country, First Lady Melania Trump, um, and I hope I get this correctly, but she is donating or raising $25 million for foster youth. And I forget how the money is being raised, but there is a focus. This White House, this particular First Lady, is focusing on foster youth. So I'm curious to know, having that highlight on foster youth during this climate, what is that? How does that impact you? What are your thoughts around that?
Well, I think it's two different fights, right? And I say that because she is coming from a place of privilege, and I'm also coming from a place of privilege, but my privilege looks different and hers as well. So I love that we have an eye on fosters, but I don't think we have an eye on the experience fosters face. And so even if you look at the title of my text, there's a child on the steps with the trash bag, and there's also a child on the text with the suitcase, and there's footsteps to connect both of them. That is talking about experience. Some children have to use trash bags, and some have a bag, right? And I'm already giving you an intersection of reality when you don't even open the book. I have not seen that from that person you mentioned earlier, nor have I heard about experiences that would even mirror or give wisdom to what actually you're trying to do. What I do see is that person is using their platform to support a cause, and with essentially doing the same thing, but it just looks different from our different places of privilege.
Right.
Because
And
Black men have privilege too.
right. And I'm curious to you understanding the varying levels of privilege and who has access and who doesn't, even access to knowledge, right? Not
Absolutely.
access to information. What is one
I think
thing
that's
that
my privilege. Her
Mm.
privilege might be money. Mine is knowledge and boots on the ground, because again, I'm an educator. So I'm able to
Right.
sit in classroom where students are experiencing it, so much so that there's a student that is experiencing something like I went through, and I signed my first book over to him. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's just a different, it's a different privilege. I have the privilege of actually talking to people going through it, and she has the privilege of throwing money around, being superwoman. Again, if that's her privilege, my privilege. Our privileges are totally different, but it's privilege nonetheless.
So what
Until
do
we
you
recognize that we both have privilege, that's the bigger conversation. And if we put those together, I think we can make monumental change. But unfortunately, we exist in two different vacuums, and it'll never happen yet.
So what do you wish that folks knew more about when it comes to foster youth and the system? What do you wish that folks just really knew more about?
There's a lot of identity issues because you're going from place to place. I know I went through a lot of homes, and there's a lot of identity issues. There's a lot of psychological issues, and I'm not talking bad, and I'm not talking about good. I'm just talking about issues really adjusting and understanding. Like, I still have separation anxiety. I don't like for people to leave my space until I'm ready for them to leave. Right? Just now, a few years ago, I discovered my real identity, like who I wanted to be, who I wanted to exist. And so when you live a certain lifestyle, you're charged with being this or that. And so sometimes it takes you to take a moment to step back and say, no, this is who I am. And I'm going to give you a through line and understand that my talent is acceptable and I'm valued. And a lot of students that go through that, or a lot of people in general that go through that, has lost that in translation because they have to pick up and go very quickly and separate themselves. Just imagine you separating yourself from a family often.
Right.
So that's a big piece of that. But again, that's that knowledge piece, in addition to the turmoils or the successes that happen, because it's not all bad. It's just, for me, I started bad and ended good. Some people never get to the good. Some people don't live through it. But again, that's just from a place, everybody's experience is different.
Right. You started from a bad place and ended good. Well, how did you get to good?
I just met a person that accepted me. And I mean, that's really it. I mean, I can't tell you all the stories, but anything that you've ever experienced in life that you think was bad, I've done it at a young age and it felt 10 times worse.
Wow.
And it's okay, because that was the starting point, right? You start at the low. Well, you can only go up. And that's exactly how my life panned out. And I thank God for those experiences, because then if you don't have no struggle, you don't understand what it looks like to reach the mountaintop. And I think I'm at the mountaintop, even if I'm not a millionaire. I got knowledge that you can never take back. I got wisdom for years. I might not be the smartest person in the room, but you're going to remember my energy when you leave.
Right.
Huh?
That's true.
And I got a community of people, and I have people to look up to, and I have people looking up to me. And these are young people and old people that look up to me to be the wisdom in the room and the support system for their future. That is a big, big, big responsibility. And to know that I can handle it, I'm good with that.
You have so much to offer. You have, I mean, it sounds like Joey's story is just the start. Are there other books?
There are 3.
Are there other books to come?
There are 3. You're actually going to grow up with Joey. So
okay.
The next book is sort of a trade book to how I do education. So I just want to let you know now. But you're going to grow up with Joey, and I'm going to take you on a journey. And then one of those books is going to be the one. I don't know which one is going to be the one, but one of them is going to be the one that gets me to that other platform I talked about earlier when you introduced another character to our story that we're creating today. And that will get to the point where I turn my privilege into something else. Still have the knowledge, but now I add on to the platform to ensure I'm able to reach much more people.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I love the concept of growing with a character. And they almost, I mean, you know, I'm gonna speak this into existence. Maybe then this could be turned into a show, into a cartoon, right? And looking at how, you know, the development of the character becomes so impactful on, you know, on youth and maybe even culture that folks want to see this as a show, right?
Come on, show.
Come on.
That I own the rights to.
Right.
That was for somebody that tried to sell an idea, and somebody told them to sell their rights. Don't sell your rights. We just had a good representation that told us not to sell those rights over.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And so I think that there's just the possibilities are endless. And I think that your story, we're barely scratched the surface, it sounds. And so I'm so excited, but also just very proud of you and really impressed by all of the things that you have going on, that you're able to kind of maintain this particular energy towards these books. How do you balance it all? Like, what is your secret sauce?
Self-care. Okay. I take myself on dates. I take myself on movie nights. I feed myself good. I treat myself as if I am dating myself, because I believe that you can't treat me better than I can treat me. And so it's not fact. I mean, it's not fiction, it's facts.
So you believe that, let's talk about men in general. Men can take care of themselves. Black men can take care of themselves.
Not can, they should. Because first of all, you're going to be eventually a leader of a household. If you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of a household?
Right.
No matter what significant other you have, you're eventually going to be the head of something.
Yeah. And I asked it in that way, like, you mean to tell me that men can take care of this as black men? Because the stigma, right, is that, oh, we just deal with it, right? We don't need to take care of ourselves. We care for others. You know, I don't need no manicure or pedicure. I don't need nothing. You know, I'ma just, you know, get my little line up, and that's myself. That's my form of self-care, which is good, right? Get your hair cut, because that's important. I need one right now, but you know, it's important to do that. But there are other but there are other elements, right, to self-care beyond just like pampering yourself. It's actually being still with oneself, right? Being comfortable. And what I noticed, especially like with my grandfather, God rest his soul, like a lot of the men in my family did not like being by themselves. Like they did not sit well with their thoughts. And I don't know if, you know, and honestly, I don't know if it was because they were wrestling with something, or it was just like, I don't even trust myself with me, you know what I'm saying? And so like there was always this constant, you know, doing, like, I gotta do something. I gotta go out in the field and, you know, rack the leaves, or I gotta go out to the church and make sure that the water's working, the lights are on. Like, never just sat down and just say, yo, just be still. Right.
And I think it's a society thing. I think it's a society thing. And I was reading Rich Dad and Poor Dad. And so, there was a moment in there when he was like, I want the money. And he was like, no, it's the knowledge. And I think sometimes we don't realize that more knowledge you have, the better you are. And we're also chasing status and symbols and idols. And so I realized that once I cut them out, my life was 10 times better. When I dreamed and actually put foots behind my dreams, and I said foots on purpose, I realized that I was already in the best place to be. Right. And sometimes we don't do that because we're steady trying to climb a ladder that will never get to the top. Or should we get to the top? Build your own. Yeah. They always say, think outside the box. Why is the box there to begin with? That is what I want somebody to walk away. Why do we even have a box to think outside of?
Right. Yeah. No, I think that you are a prime example of defying the odds and thinking outside of the box and actually just breaking the box and completely destroying it, right? And just saying
Fun fact, my line name was Against All Odds.
How about that? I did not know that. I did not know that. Because you're the only iota I know in the world. So I mean,
not too much.
They do exist, y'all. They are out there. I'm just playing. Shout out to the illustrious brothers of Iota Phi Theta.
Baltimore made. Baltimore made.
Come on, 1963, Morgan State University. Listen, I know my history.
Civil rights organization, and we here.
That's right. But so no, I think that you are a prime example of that. And for the young brothers or the parents or guardians of young Black men that they may be raising right now, what are some advice or tokens of wisdom that you as a Black man, a Black male educator from Baltimore, like I just want to emphasize that because
Baltimore's had big fun.
Yeah. You have defied so many of societal odds and all of that, right? All the barriers, and probably yet overcoming them, right? Now as you're pursuing your doctoral degree, it's just one mountain after the other. And so what advice or what words of wisdom and knowledge would you give to that young man who's listening, or maybe a parent of a child who needs support?
Yeah, I think the biggest nugget is do what you want to do. And journal all the way there. Because when you journal and you start to see the progress, that's when you start going faster. And faster and harder. Like, oh my gosh, I made blank, blank, blank. I got to get 2. I made blank, blank, blank. I got to get 4 times this, And I'm not talking money because that's another thing. We always talk about money. I'm talking knowledge because once you get knowledge, the money will follow you.
Yeah. I love that. And really focusing on just being who God has called you to be and being comfortable in that, right? And
what Miley Cyrus say, it's the climb.
Being rest assured in who you are. I think that is so important.
Know yourself. To thine own self be true.
Yes. So as we wrap up,
come on, wrap up.
When you need to take a reset and a breather, what does that look like for you?
I go to that rock. No, no, I go to my basement and watch movies and order food and just read or watch something. I just watched The Greatest Showman this week. I can't believe I lived all this life and not seen it. But I mean, it was like a roller coaster. I put speakers in my couch because I'm not buying a love sack when I could just make one. So, got my little Bluetooth speakers in my couch now. So I'm like, I have a good time on my own, right? Yeah. I think that's the thing that I love the most, like, because I watch a good movie and then I'll cry, like a good cry, like not no, I'm depressed. No, like I'll cry, like, oh my God, look at what I did. And it's you right, being still and really sitting with yourself and say, dang, blasted. 10 years ago, I thought I wasn't gonna write a book. Now look at me.
Yeah.
Oh, only 3% of the authors sell 200 books. I'm at 250, 300.
Wow.
Oh, I got this event coming up and I didn't even realize that I registered for it. But guess what? I didn't even know. I'm getting calls about stuff that I didn't even apply for. And sometimes you got to sit in that stillness and really think yourself and thank God for you walking them feet. And so, you know, and let's be clear, defeat is a feat, you know. So I want you to really think about that and really conceptualize what that looks like, because that's what I do. And that's really it. That's what I do.
Yeah, I love this thread of self-care and being still and knowing thyself to be true.
I'm a self-care guru. I will self-care you under the table.
Yeah, it's all connected. It's all connected. You have to love yourself, and I want Black men out there, to young and old, to know that it's okay to take time out for yourself, to love yourself, to sit with yourself, your thoughts, to journal, and to go on those long walks, and to, you know, think about where you are in life, where you want to be, and to have a grateful heart, and to thank God that you are still here, right? And I'm grateful for you, Roderick, still being here, and, you know, just pursuing all the things that you're pursuing. And can you tell the folks how can they purchase your product, and how can they follow you, and if you have any events coming up?
Yes, come on, purchase this book. It's on joeystory.com. You can go there. You'll see my lovely face. You'll get a little bit of my story. I'm editing the website as we speak, but you can order your copy. You can order 1, you can order 2, you can order up to 100. If you want to get the curriculum, you will have to email me at rjohnson@energizeeducator.com. You can follow me on social media at either Coach Reeds, or you can follow me at Energize Educator on X, which sounds so bad, so I'm gonna say Twitter. You can follow me at Energize EDU. I'm on Substack as the Energize Educator for the writers that want to see my work. And then catch me on Instagram and DM me. And I'm one of those people that will DM you back. I do not have 50 employees. It's just me. But I'm also not going to give a commercial, because the energy is supposed to be bought in for you to get an outcome.
That part. Well, thank you so much, Roderick. And thank you for your work, for your light, and for your commitment. And thank you all for joining Mr. Big Head Reads. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. We cannot do this work without you all support. So please make sure you send it out to a brother, to a friend, to to whomever that you think might need to hear this particular podcast. And always keep your minds open and your hearts open to receive. And remember that Black literacy is Black liberation. All right, until next time, be safe.
You have just watched a powerful conversation with me and Tate talking about Joey's Story, A Long Way Home, my brand new book that I'm releasing to the world. Go to joeystory.com, and don't forget to like and subscribe and comment this video. Don't forget also that Black literacy is Black liberation. I'll see you soon. Peace.